What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I, of course, am Nascar Nick, and today I just wanted to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind recently and seems to come up in the comments in pretty much every NASCAR video that I can find that's on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. And, you know, you get all these people that are like, oh, NASCAR's dying and NASCAR isn't what it used to be, which is definitely partially true, but I think there's a lot more to it than just the TV ratings and why people are maybe leaving the sport or just not watching as much as usual. Now, of course, the common thought process and kind of misconception is that NASCAR and the stupid chase format and playoff format has deterred a lot of the old-time fans and people that have been watching the sport for, 10, 20, 30, 50 years even. And to be honest, I think that's mostly true. I think if you've been watching NASCAR for if you started watching NASCAR 20 years ago in the late 90s or something like that, or early 2000s, it's changed drastically since then, and that's really something that you can't argue, and I don't blame people for leaving because of that. Honestly, the new chase, I started watching NASCAR in 2008 mainly, and I've always known the chase format. I liked the chase format, the original one. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Top 10 drivers was great, and I made a whole video about NASCAR chase playoff and how that's stupid, and our current chase or playoff is just a terrible way to crown a champion. I'll link that below in the video description if you want to check out my video on that. I think that's definitely worth watching. But anyway, to keep on topic with this video, I want to talk about the other reasons why NASCAR is probably losing people, and mostly young kids, to other sports or kind of other outlets for their entertainment. And the main reason has to be that today, people just aren't connected with their vehicles as much as they used to be. Back before the internet mainly, and smartphones especially, people used to love getting their license, and they couldn't wait to get a car and drive and take their friends places and go and do whatever. I mean, it was such a lure for independence. I mean, that was your independence, was your vehicle. That was how you got from point A to point B. That's what gave you the ultimate freedom from your parents. That's what gave you freedom of choice to, I don't want to go there today. I want to do this instead or whatever. You could do it, in your car. And of course, that's all still true. You can still get your license, get in a car and everything and do whatever you want, but the internet and smartphones have really changed the way people look at their cars. Now you see a lot of cars today with all these technology packages and Apple CarPlay and Android Car, whatever it's called, I forgot, Google Car or something like that. But now people are, connecting their smartphones to their cars. Social media's taken over a ton and allowed people to express themselves online, just like I am to you guys right now, in a completely new and different way. And something, those things have never been available before. No one's ever been able to do what I'm doing right now, holding a camera, or in my case, my phone, in front of me and talking and being able to post it to you guys and really, engage with people from all over the country, all over the world through the internet. And that is also a real sense of independence, and it's a real sense of accomplishment too. And so now you see today that kids, some kids are obviously still very excited to get their license. I got my license a while ago now, but when I got my license, I was super excited. I got my first car, and I was, oh man, like, this is awesome. I was one of those, but I'm a car guy, right? That's why I watch NASCAR. That's why I like drag racing. That's why I don't like drifting, but whatever. I'm a car guy. So a lot of people aren't today because they don't see that same, level of, oh my God, this is my freedom. This is what can take me to that next step in my life. A lot of people today see it as, it just gets me from A to B. Or, Uber. People don't have to learn how to drive. They can just Uber everywhere. Now that costs money, but it also costs 20 grand to buy a car. So you think about it like, well, I could spend 20 grand on a car, or I could spend 20 grand over the course of, I don't even know, 20 years getting places by taxi and Uber and stuff like that, and Lyft and whatever. So just the automobile has become secondary in our lives as far as how we like to, communicate and express ourselves, as well as how people are able to feel their independence and feel their own sense of accomplishment. And I think that's something really overlooked. Obviously, you look at NASCAR, it's of course it's rooted in the South, and it's rooted in like the moonshining and the illegal and running away from the cops and all that stuff, which is really cool. And like, of course, me being a NASCAR fan for a long time and everything, I really like that part of NASCAR, and I think that's what gives it a lot of character, and that's what really separates it from other sports. Is, it didn't start organized. It started with the bootleggers running from the cops and all this stuff, and now you've got problems of young kids trying to get into it. It doesn't have the following it has anymore because of it's really not as much. I mean, it is partially NASCAR's fault. I'm not going to brush over that. It definitely is part of NASCAR's fault in the whole playoff system we have today. I think that's a huge mistake. But besides the point, the main point is how people react to and how people kind of live through their automobiles. They don't express themselves through their cars anymore. Nobody really, it's a very niche, whatever you want to say, very way of expressing yourself, because now you have social media. You have, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You have all of these, and Snapchat. I mean, everything. You've got all these outlets to express yourself, to express your opinion, to show people what you are about. And before, a lot of that was with your car. And not even that you had to modify your car, just whatever car you bought, And again, that goes back to NASCAR's roots. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday. People used to love buying the cars they saw on track. No one buys a Ford Fusion today because Brad Keselowski won Talladega. No one's buying Camrys because Denny Hamlin wins at Phoenix. No one's buying, we know no one's buying Chevrolet SS's, even though I personally really want one. But no one's buying Chevrolet SS's because Jimmy Johnson wins at Dover, or Dale Earnhardt Jr. wins the Bud Shooter, whatever. Like, no one's buying cars anymore because said driver is winning said races. Nobody cares. They buy what they like, and they buy what they can afford, and the best car that they can afford with their money is that's what they're going to go with. Oh, if the Hyundai has more options than the Toyota, I'm going to go with the Hyundai. If the Ford has more power than the Dodge, I'm going to go with the Ford, or whatever. So and I'm talking, when I say people, I mean 99% of the population. I'm not talking about NASCAR fans. I'm talking about the entire other part of the population, and I'm talking about them specifically because that's who NASCAR is trying to grab with this, playoff structure. They're trying to grab the football fans, the basketball fans, the baseball fans. And, I'm beating it like a dead horse, but again, I already covered this in another video, so I don't want to rehash all of that stuff for you. I really do suggest you go watch that video. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get all the young kids in it again because, the TV ratings are dropping and everything, and there's money's leaving NASCAR. Maybe not on a team-by-team basis. Obviously, a lot of teams are still very strong, but I think in overall picture, you can see that money is leaving NASCAR. We went from 43 cars to 40, and that's a few teams right there that we're bringing in cash. So, they're just failing to realize that we're in a different world. We're in a world where there's so much competition for your eyeballs and your attention. And, we're in that world right now. I'm on YouTube right now talking to you guys about this, walking around my room and everything. I've got a little, little stick on my phone and everything. I'm just kind of like walking around, and I can do that, and it's free to me, and it's very accessible. I think that's the other thing. That brings me to my other point, is NASCAR isn't nearly as accessible as other sports. You go to any high school, any middle school, even elementary school, they've got basketball teams, they have volleyball teams, they have soccer teams, they have football teams, they have swimming, running, all these athletic things that you can do. Are there racing teams? No. Are there go-kart teams? No. There's nothing. Racing is such, it's far out of reach for so many people, and it's hard to relate to because nobody had that experience. I can say I'm not good at basketball because I played basketball with friends. I was never on a team, but I played with friends and all that, and I'm like, I'm an okay shooter, but I really am bad at defense or whatever. It's easy for me to say that. It's easier for me to say that I'm bad at baseball, I'm bad at soccer, and I don't want to say that I'm bad at everything, but team sports was not really my thing. I was a cross country runner and track runner, but more individual sports more my thing. But another reason why I kind of like NASCAR. But anyway, not the point. The point is, it's NASCAR and just auto racing in general, but you know, it's hard to relate to. No one ever gets the keys to a NASCAR. Oh, hey, take this car around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Oh, like, let's see what kind of skill you got, son or daughter or whoever. Yeah, no one's really getting that opportunity unless you're, you know, in the karting and you're doing that since you're like 3 years old and all this blah, blah, blah stuff. So that's really the problem, is that one, you know, there's a lot of other outlets that people can go to for their entertainment, and you know, just there's so much competition for it. Like I said, with social media, you know, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and other social outlets. Smartphones and the internet have made everything instantly accessible, and so that creates, you know, why do I have to wait 4 hours to see the winner? I don't want to watch a freaking 4-hour race. I don't want to do this. It just takes too long. Oh, you know, and no one, because of that, again, no one appreciates what goes into these races, what goes into the pit stops, what goes into completing one of these and winning one of the races. How do you win a stage? I mean, you know, that's again another video, like I said, but what goes into winning a championship? I mean, there's so much that people don't understand because we are so used to instant gratification that no one wants to take the time anymore to really appreciate something. And that's getting probably kind of deep. I didn't want to get that deep in this video, but hey, it's NASCAR Nick channel. We're going to go there, and we're not afraid to say what we think and say what's on our minds. So that's definitely the main thing, is people, you know, just again, there's not too many, but there's so many outlets to express yourself. And, you know, people don't do it with cars anymore. The majority of people do not do it with cars anymore. And then the other thing, like I was just talking about, is it's hard to relate to because you don't see it everywhere. You know, it's like, oh, I'm watching NASCAR on TV. Oh, what's that? Oh, cars go in an oval and you do this and that. And people are like, oh, yeah, that's cool, but like, why should I care about it? Exactly, because you can't relate to it. You've never been in a go-kart. You've never been in a sprint car. You've never, you know, driven a truck. You've never driven a NASCAR race truck, a NASCAR Xfinity Series car, a NASCAR Cup car. No one has those experiences. Hard to relate to. Hard to relate to equals hard, you know, it just creates a barrier. It removes it from everybody. It's like, oh, this is something that you can't do, or this is something that you really just will never fully understand. And that's only because you haven't experienced it. It's easy to experience football. It's easy to experience soccer and all these other sports where all you got to do is run around and kick a ball or throw a ball or hit a ball or shoot a ball. You know what I mean? Or even hockey, like, you know, shoot a puck or whatever. All these sports are so accessible at the point of like, I can just go my physical body and do it. You know, I can experience hockey in my driveway with a net and a hockey stick. I can experience soccer by buying a $10 soccer ball. NASCAR, it's not accessible. And that's the problem. And it's not accessible to the wrong people. You know, it's accessible to everyone that has a lot of money and like can finance their son or daughter learning to drive go-karts at a young age and stepping up from rank to rank. It's not accessible to really the core of NASCAR fans, which are more middle class and can't afford to have their son or daughter drive go-karts and go up the ranks in the NASCAR circuit or anything like that, or the K&N series and stuff like that. And that's really the problem. There needs to be more accessibility to the sport through smaller kind of versions of it and introductory parts to it. Just like I said, in elementary schools and high schools with like the basketball teams and stuff. That's where kids have learned to get passions about sports, is in their formidable years, in, you know, from like 6 to 16 or whatever. That's when they really form like, wow, like I love baseball, I love soccer, I love, you know, football, golf, whatever it is. And that's when you get those hardcore like, wow, this is the sport for me. This is what I'm going to stick with my entire life. And I feel like I've said it 100 times, but NASCAR, there is just no, and racing in general again, but we're focusing on NASCAR here. This is a NASCAR channel. So that's why NASCAR is just not as fast growing, not as popular, because it's unacceptable. Not unacceptable. NASCAR is unrelatable to the vast majority of Americans, and especially the ones that watch it the most, which is more of the middle class type. And that's problem number one. I mean, these are both big problems. And then problem number two, quickly just to sum up, is obviously people express themselves in different ways, and there's so many other ways besides having to actually go to a sporting event to experience something, like social media and everything and smartphones and the internet. It's changed all of that, and the instant gratification of everything has changed, and we don't give time to things like we used to anymore. And of course all this is up for debate, but these are just my opinions on why NASCAR is kind of stuck in its place right now and not really moving forward. I don't think they're really moving back too much, but they're just not moving forward at all. And that's really bad because you need new fans to continue the sport and even grow the sport into the long-term future. I'm talking, the next 50, 100 years. NASCAR's been around for, it's going to be 70 years next year, so it can definitely get there, but you need people to keep the excitement going, and people that want to keep going to the races and experiencing everything, and you're just losing that out on the younger kids who have all this instant gratification and don't relate to cars as much anymore, and just have other outlets where they can express themselves. And there's all the other sports are so much more accessible that NASCAR just loses out on that, and loses out on, like I said, the formidable years of kids. Really from, like I said, 6 to 16-ish in that range. So yeah, I know this is kind of like a little rant, and I didn't want to go on a rant or anything. This is probably a longer video than I thought. I don't know how long it is, but that's really the things that people don't think about when asking, oh, why is NASCAR, maybe stalling a little bit or falling behind or losing money as a whole, and these are two reasons why. So anyway, that's it. I got kind of, deep there for a second, and I didn't want to do that, but this is something that I think has to be discussed, has to be said, and like I said before, these are points that people really don't think about or haven't thought about yet, so I wanted to bring that to the attention of you guys and hopefully some other people. If you see this video, maybe share it with some of your friends that follow NASCAR too, or really anybody, and just show them that there is a lot more to it than just the money or just, you just go around in circles. That's not why NASCAR is faltering slightly right now. There's a lot more to it. So anyway, man, I'm tired out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you loved the video, consider subscribing, and that is it for this one, guys. I will see you next time.